Welcome back to Cocktails with Queens. I'm finally reconnected, y'all. So, tonight we are joined by a publishing industry queen with over 2 decades of fashion, beauty, and lifestyle media experience. Please welcome the editor-in-chief and the senior vice president of programming at Ebony, the fabulous Marielle Bobo. Hey, girl, hey.
Hey guys, hey ladies.
Hey.
How are you? Hey Queen.
Hey, I just got to say this real quick. Last time I saw you, you interviewed me for the Ebony, the Power conversation that we had. And it was just lovely. We were in Bel Air, y'all. I was like, yes, Ebony, go. So what inspired you to pursue a career in the publishing industry?
Oh boy, I mean, to be honest, I would say my grandmother. I grew up reading magazines. My grandmother was an avid collector of magazines. She is 98 years old and still out here doing it. But she loved magazines, and as a little girl, I used to go to her house all the time and flip through all of her publications. She had many an Ebony magazine, and that was kind of the beginnings of me wanting to work in publishing.
Well, it's an absolutely timeless magazine. I mean, just absolutely timeless. But Marielle, Ebony magazine has shined a spotlight on the lives of Black people in America and worldwide since 1945.
Wow.
Come on. What was it about the history of Ebony magazine that grabbed your attention? And why is this magazine so important for our culture to you?
I mean, for so many years, Ebony was the first. And even in a landscape today where there are, many other publications that show people who look like us, there still is this void of just storytellers that look like us, and, for many years, it was the first place that we saw women who look like us and, people who look like the men and women in my family, and told our stories from an authentic lens and celebrated the beauty in our lives, also shone a light on the struggles, but really also played up Black joy and Black love and some of the, celebratory moments in our lives as well. And I think in today's time, it's still so needed. Every day we're out here struggling, and we're all looking for that level of inspiration that Ebony still brings today. So I think, 77 plus years in, Ebony is still just so relevant as it was before.
Yes. Well, I so appreciate it. I used to be a journalist and write for for newspapers. And I remember as a young girl looking at the cover of Ebony magazine, it was a beautiful, I want to say a Black bride. And I never seen that on the mainstream magazines back in 1983, I believe it was around that time. And I was impacted by that, because we had all the other magazines on the shelf and was just overlooking us. And we really need you. And I love that it's positive. It's not salacious headlines ever, but I want to get to this. I want to talk about one of the most talked about covers this year, the February issue featuring Jonathan Majors on the cover. Everybody had something to say about this shoot. It was definitely impactful. Can you please tell us about the inspiration behind the shoot?
Yeah, so Jonathan is someone who had kind of been on our radar for a while. He has just been making a lot of interesting moves in his career, portraying all these different kinds of characters. And we had kind of started some conversations with his team last year and wanting to really kind of celebrate the trajectory that he's been on. I think, since I would say Chadwick, we really haven't had a Black actor who had come on the scene at the time and had the same kind of buzz for this kind of next generation. And that's how Jonathan kind of came into the ether for us here at Ebony. And with the cover, we really wanted to push the envelope. Part of what we're looking to do with this new kind of iteration with Ebony is to have conversations in the Black community that we haven't been having. And one of them was really this conversation of Black masculinity. And we, of course, wanted to give the eye candy moment for February, but we also wanted to have this conversation around Black manhood. And it was really interesting because we did this cover that you have up on the screen where he's, all sprawled out, shirtless, and there were all these kind of the drooling and all the, people loving that. And then we did a second cover where he was kind of in this like 1970s pimp daddy, pink coat and heels. And then we got dragged with people saying that we were making him look effeminate. And, so that was a conversation we wanted to have around how the Black man presents that he could show up one way and seem masculine to some, and then show up another way and be dubbed as effeminate. So it was great to kind of see all of the banter that it caused, and it was, to your point, Claudia, a huge moment for us in terms of the conversation.
Can I just ask, was it because of the color pink?
It was, it was pink. He was wearing kind of like this fur inspired jacket. He had on these jeans that were heels. I mean, we loved it and thought that it was, fashion forward and just cool. And when you think about a lot of the artists of the 1970s and 60s, like that's how the men were looking, but there was all this banter about that photo. We wanted that to kind of be a conversation that was had. So we were glad that people reacted to it and wanted to talk about it.
It definitely worked. I remember him kissing, like he had the pouty lips, and it definitely worked. And I'm here for Ebony riling up the folks, because y'all were pretty safe for a long time. So y'all can do some more riling. And if you need some assistance on the set, I believe Cocktails of Queens, I think the Queens are available for some of the activities, right, Vivica? Right, Lisa?
Absolutely.
Correct.
Well, Ebony reigns from my hometown, Chicago. So that building is iconic. Still on Michigan Avenue. You can still see that sign from the skyline. That was the very first thing that I've ever been a part of as Beauty of the Week. And my first ad with Ebony with Ravine. So that goes way back. So it's nice to see when they do turn over from the Johnsons and turning it over to their daughter and to others, that you guys are staying current. So we buy our hats off for that. Now, Janelle Monáe graced the March cover, and I believe that Jody Smith, Turner Smith, right, was featured on the April cover. Can you give us an exclusive who to expect for the May cover of Ebony magazine, and maybe planning to feature the queens on
Shameless plug.
And just saying.
I do want to say, actually, before I answer that question and give you the tea, Lisa Ray, when in another world, I was actually the fashion and beauty director at Ebony, and I styled you for a cover. It was you, Shaka Khan, and Journey Smollett. Yeah. And it was the three of you, and that was several years ago, and so it's very cool full circle moment to be here with you now. So
I remember that.
But for our May cover, I will say, I'm not going to give all the tea, but I will say that she's part of a duo of two sisters. They're known in music. And she's having a breakout moment where she's out on her own. Coming above the waves, out of the sea. That's what
I know who that is. Yeah.
I believe they've been guests here right here on Cocktails.
The little mermaid. Yeah, she's a mermaid. Yeah.
Our cover, it'll come out on Wednesday, so can't wait for you.
Marielle, there was a second part of the question. I believe there was a question.
Get up, get up.
You got me, Lisa. I'm just saying.
It's coming.
I mean, girl, we just showed up with the same hairstyle. That is a sign.
Okay.
That's a sign. Somebody said, I didn't nobody to tell me that. We just knew we were there.
Well, I have two things to say before we close out with you. I had an Ebony cover, and let me tell you something. When I'm telling you, I was over the moon when I got that cover. We all grew up on Ebony, a very good friend of ours, Cocktails with Queens, and yours, BJ Coleman, just loves going forward with Ebony. And I thank you so much for supporting him in his endeavors. But Marielle, thank you so much for joining Cocktails with Queens. Thank you what you're doing for the African-American community to continue to let queens and kings shine. So we thank you so much, and looking forward to working with you again, Queen.
Yes.
Thank you so much, ladies. It's been an honor. Super excited.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Keep making it do what it do.